In the last lesson, we touched briefly on events. Now over the next few videos, we'll take a closer look at the various events that are available to you. Events are basically tools that when signaled by an impulse do something in the game. Some events can be used for multiple purposes, some are more specific in what they can do and can only be used with certain objects. We'll begin by looking at the events that affect the bike or rider. First is the Afterburner event. The Afterburner basically turns your Trials bike into a rocket bike. Flames shoot out of the back and incredible force rockets you forward. What's next? The properties, of course. Open those suckers up. Type determines how the event will affect the Afterburner. Our choices are on, off, and toggle, and these choices are going to be very common as we continue through the events. On turns the event on, off turns it off, and toggle will change it from whatever state it is. So if it's on, it will toggle to off and vice versa. Next is duration. When the Afterburner is activated, this is how long it will last before it shuts off on its own. Force, of course, sets how powerful the Afterburner is, while damping slows the movement of the bike a bit, which makes it a little easier to control when it's being blasted around by rocket power. Finally, we have Select Event Filter. This will let you take the impulse the event receives and pass it along to another event or filter. Every event has this option. Next is the Bike Control event. This event allows you to automatically control some of the functions of the bike and rider. Properties menu, Engage. Type in this event determines what aspect of the bike or rider you're controlling. Your choices are gas, brake, lean, or bailout. The value is tied to whichever type you choose. For gas and brake, it sets how much gas or how hard the brakes are applied. For lean, the value sets how much the rider will lean in either direction. Negative values lean back and positive values lean forward. Bailout has no value. Now let's take a look at the Bike Part Detach event. This event, as the name implies, can be used to detach parts from the bike. What's that you say? Properties? Let's look at those properties. This one is pretty straightforward. Use Select Bike Parts to choose which part you want to detach. You can make just one part come off, or you can choose every part and the whole bike will fall to pieces. Fire event is next, and you can use this one to set the bike or rider ablaze. We start with two checkboxes, bike and rider. By default, both are checked, but if you want, for instance, just the rider to be on fire, you can uncheck bike. Next is type. Here we have the on, off, and toggle options, but we also have a fourth. When you just turn the fire on, it starts at the lowest amount and builds up as long as the bike isn't moving too fast. Using the set type, you can tell it how much fire there is when the effect is initially activated. When using the set type, we also get the fire amount slider. Use this to set how strong the flames are. 0 is the minimum, 1000 is the max. The last event that is specifically tied to the bike or rider is the player event. This event allows you to automatically make the player do a few different things. Let's fire up those properties. Type in this event determines what actions the rider will perform. The first two, unconscious and detach, both cause the rider to let go of the bike. With unconscious, the rider will go completely ragdoll, but with detach, you'll still be able to do a few off-bike actions that are available for the rider, like grabbing objects or curling up into a ball. Reset to checkpoint is basically like a press of the B button, but with one slight difference. When type is set to reset to checkpoint, we get a few more options. Checkpoint index chooses which checkpoint you reset to. The number on this slider will be tied to the number of checkpoints in your map, with 0 being the starting line. The Reset Physics checkbox determines if the rider resets when he's moved back to the checkpoint. When unchecked, the rider will return to the checkpoint but will not be charged a fault. However, if he was wrecked, he will stay that way. Finally, we have Reset to Driving Line. This is basically the same as Reset to Checkpoint, except you can reset to any point on the driving line. The driving line index determines where on the driving line the rider resets to. Its values, 0 to 100, are tied to the length of the driving line. So for example, if your driving line is 100 meters long, a value of 1 is equal to 1 meter.